Spring training is just around the corner, and the Smokies got a lot of things going on, including our new staff. We're going to talk about that on Wild Pitches right now. Oh, there it is. What do you say, everybody, with Aris?
What's up?
Yeah, at Aris and Theo Phanopoulos. I'm Mick Gillespie. What's up, dude? How was we both just got back from vacation?
And we're both looking pretty tan, I feel like, here, the same horrible lighting at Smoky Stadium in the press box. And, you're in your booth over there with all the neon lights and stuff. We're both looking pretty sexy, I think. So,
Yep.
I would show you my legs, but, I'm not trying to put on a performance for you guys.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see
Bahamas
you.
were great, man. So Bahamas was great. Did the whole, all-inclusive thing for 5 days, 4 nights, and definitely would be back. Went to the Freeport, Bahamas. Did a show every single night at the resort we stayed at. It was fantastic. So,
are your batteries recharged?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the first day back from the whole trip was pretty tough, not because the time changed or anything. It was the same time, but it was just kind of like, oh yeah, I can't just have a rum and Coke whenever I feel like right now.
Day drinking.
Yeah.
The Key West is that way. Well, how was the weather?
Oh, it was gorgeous. It was like 78 degrees every single day. Not too hot. It was never cold. There's a little bit of wind in the air a few of the days, but that made it was really fun for doing caravans and doing kayaking and stuff. It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know, all inclusive. Like for me, I went to Island Murata, which is like right past Key Largo, right in the Keys. I actually stopped in Boca Raton first and saw Father Carl, who was reminding me of the time that he took me to meet Reggie Jackson as a small kid, which still, I know it's true, but it just doesn't even feel like it anymore. And then we watched the Ravens lose together. 2 Ravens fans. That was not so fun, but it was fun with him. Then Island Murata, great. Then went to Marathon, awful. Not my place. And then Key West was fantastic, man. Love Key West.
Sorry about your Ravens there. That was a bad beat there. It seems like they never got anything going.
No, and that's typical Lamar Jackson playoff Lamar. I don't know why, and it really is. It's not just his fault. I mean, they couldn't block, and they lost one of their running backs towards the end of the season, and it was the first time that it really showed that they refused to run the ball. I mean, they kept throwing. I mean, we could talk about it all day, but it was definitely a disappointing loss. But then I didn't think too much about it because I was on Coconut Cove Beach, and then I was at places like the Green Parrot and where'd I go? Green Parrot, Rick's, which was really fantastic. I went to Schooners, anywhere that I could find a place. The Smoking Tuna was a spot I went to. So it was fun, man. And some of my friends were there.
Smoking Tuna.
Yeah. Like a lot of live music.
Yeah.
Kind of a Nashville type vibe. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great, man. So now it's like back to work again. And I look at all the stuff we got to do. And the fact that like a month from now, I'll be going to spring training. I mean, that's crazy to think about.
That's so weird to think about, this podcast being recorded on February 6th, coming out on February 7th. So Pitchers and Catchers report in just a week, less than a week, right?
Yeah, Valentine's Day.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then before you know it, spring training games come about, and then the Major League Baseball games come about, and it's getting time for the minor league baseball games to come out.
Yeah. Well, it's coming fast. You turn that corner after the season ends, and then you have football. And then when football ends, which we have the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, but then all of a sudden it's baseball time, and you got pitchers and catchers and then spring training games. And then we're trying to figure out what the roster is going to look like, big league all the way down to the Smokies and past. And so it definitely is a fun time of year.
Oh yeah, for sure. And, it's kind of funny. I remember watching like Sports Center as a child. And once the Super Bowl is over, there's kind of a little bit of a lull with sports because baseball hasn't started yet. And basketball and hockey are going, but, it's regular season. It's not towards the end of the season yet. And that's always when the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue came out. And that was a big thing. And now that's not a thing anymore, right? Sports Illustrated is dead.
Yeah. Somebody messaged me on my YouTube channel about the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, and I was like, man, I remember when that was like the most anticipated, like event of the year. And if you were in that, I mean, that was wow. And now I don't know. I mean, like I was going through a box a second ago and I saw programs. Actually saw Smokies pictures from when my buddy, good friend Jared Kingery pitched for the Smokies. I took in 2001, and just thinking how long ago that was on top of everything else. But it was, and it's like paper, now pictures are pretty much digital. And, and I saw an old program and I'm thinking like, we don't even have programs anymore. Like we just don't, I mean, I'm sure we do, but not really, not like we used to.
Right. I mean, it's just not the same. I remember going to games as a child and there was always the program there, it's something
Yeah.
tangible. And you just read through that thing for fun, front to back. You look at the ads, you read all about the team, all about the roster of the opposing team, all the fun stuff that goes on in a program. It doesn't exist anymore. But I guess it is a little more easy to find all the information because it's on your phone, but you take it for granted.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly it. So yeah, and now for you, it's like, it's same thing for me. Like all of a sudden I'm putting my staff together, interns and, people that are going to help out in different areas, like, and all the departments at the stadium are doing the same thing, which is could sound boring, but at the same time, like this time of year, like finding the right people is really important. And a part of it is just, you want to have people around you on a day-to-day basis that you like, like that can do the job, but that you can get along with, right? Because it is a long season.
Hey, dude, that's something where one, you're looking for somebody that is competent and always willing to put in the extra effort and work those long days. But not only do that, but also get better as the season moves along. At least for me, it's like I have 4 interns here and I'm not expecting them to be, perfect. That's impossible. They're interns. They're supposed to be learning things. They're supposed to grow as the season moves along here. And, most importantly as well, it's somebody that you can work with and tolerate for maybe 18 hours a day.
Yeah, when you're not recharged from vacation, right? It's a lot of work. This is like, it is fun though. We have a guy who works with us named Big Dave or Dirty Dave. And for years I knew him and he would be like, "Hey, I want to come to work." And I'm like, and I'd see him at different restaurants and different places that he worked. And I always liked him. And I still do. And I would be like, "Man, it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too." And now he works with us. And I'm sure that it's like he takes advantage of like every time you see him and it's a theme night, he's decked out in the
Oh, yeah.
colors or whatever. Like he's a cheerleader for what we do. But I'm sure that like the hours and stuff for him, it'd be funny to bring him on here one time. But I mean, it's got to be so different because one week you're working like, a bunch of hours, and then the next week it's like, normal job.
Hey,
During
man,
the season.
I do not envy Dave whatsoever. Yes, I put in a lot of hours. I do a lot of things here, but thank goodness I'm not the one making 1,000 hot dogs every single day and cleaning the grill every single day and taking care of all of this wait staff every single day. That is just a lot of work, but that dude always comes in with a huge smile on his face
Yeah.
and he loves being here, man. This is his Disney World coming into Smoky Stadium every day.
Yeah. I just kept like trying to discourage him. Like, you won't like this.
Hey, you know what happened to Dave over the weekend?
What's that?
Dude, Dave got married on Sunday.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
And this just puts it into perspective.
Married
Right?
Dave.
We're talking about how much of a baseball fan this dude is, right? He got married on Sunday, which was February 4th, 2024. So that's 2/4/24. and he got married at 240. The reason behind that, his favorite baseball player, Ken Griffey Jr., wore 24.
Good God.
Isn't that unbelievable?
And he's a Braves fan, which is even more incredible. Well, good. Congratulations to him. I've known him for a long time, and it's great to have him on staff. Missed him at the staff retreat because he had like COVID or something. So
right.
He missed my toenails are still some of my toenails from the staff retreat
Jammed,
are still no, there's still blood under the toenail. Like they look like I've painted them black from some of the some of the games that we were out there physically battling in.
That's delicious.
Well, all right. Well, when this thing drops, I'm actually going to be at the ballpark tomorrow. So
oh, cool.
Yeah. I got to get a haircut. That's what there's only one guy that cuts my hair, and he's at Frank's Barbershop, or now Gambuzo. So when it's time for that, then it needs time for coming in. All right, let's talk about something that I know some of you guys have seen and some of you guys haven't seen yet, but we have a new staff with the Smokies and all the different teams. But the new manager is Lance Reimel. It's the first time that the Smokies are going to have a female hitting coach, Rachel Folden. The developmental coach is Darren Davis. Pitching coach remains Jamie Vermilia. He's the only guy that's holding over from last year's staff. Assistant pitching coach, Henry Hack, and then athletic trainer, Aaron Clapp. Now, he was there before.
Award-winning Aaron Clapp.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's Jesus De La Sencha is the strength and conditioning coach. But Marty Peavy in AAA is going to have our buddy Rick Strickland, who got promoted. So good for Rick. And former Smoky Nate Spears. Love Nate. He is the hitting coach in South Bend. It's crazy to see him come back through after having, his baseball playing career end, and now he's a hitting coach. So good for him. Marco Romero is the development coach there. We had him last year. He did a great job. Always liked him. And then Buddy Bailey's former Smokies manager is the manager of
was that 18 years in a row or something like that.
It's
over
been
there.
A long time. He's going to be, I think he's like either fourth or third all time in manager wins in the minor leagues. So he'll work on that this year. And that's the staff right there of all the different teams.
Hey, and if you're taking a look at this, if you're watching the video on YouTube, if you take a look at Myrtle Beach and you see their pitching coach, George Thanopoulos, no, relation, but definitely from the same area in Greece. Last part of your last name in Greek culture shows where you are from in Greece. So
really.
Yes. So if it ends in Poulos, that means that you're kind of like inland near Athens in that area. So, hey, our ancestors probably know each other. So
how about that?
Now, looking at South Bend, Nick Lavulo, he was here 2 years ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, Nick Lavulo, his dad's a big league manager. And yeah, he was with us we played against him when he was in the league as a player, and just had the knack. I knew that he was going to eventually do this and he'll shoot up through the system. Really good guy, smart baseball guy. He was a great base coach. So good for him. Kevin Graber, who was the Smokies manager last year, is going back to being field director. That was what his job was. And then, when they, parted ways with Michael Ryan, who we also liked a lot, Graber stepped in and then, finished off the job of winning our first championship in 45 years, which still is amazing to me. I mean, I've listened to the Last Out Call on occasion throughout the offseason just to remember what that experience was like. Going through my head, like, how is this going to play out and what, and all that. And still, it seems like a dream. I mean, going to spring training to present the rings to the players. And I'm going to try to get, are you going out there?
That's the goal. The goal is to make it out there because it's going to be a big deal, just as you said, you haven't won the championship in 45 years. And this is the opportunity. If not now, then when are we going to get video of our players getting those rings?
Yeah. We got to get that pennant of yours signed by him if we can, man. That thing is so cool. I think it's I've talked about it last show. I think it's one of the best, well thought out giveaways that I can ever remember even in the big leagues, because of the fact that you had the starting lineup of the last game under the pennant, see if I can find it. It just makes it so significant to me. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thank you once again. If you missed it last episode, we have this as our first giveaway of the season. It's brought to you by our friends at Hampton Inn and Suites, and it features the starting lineup of the Tennessee Smokies in the clinching championship game against Pensacola last season.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just so cool, man. And so many really good players in that lineup. I mean, Matt Shaw, prospect. BJ Murray, prospect. Owen Casey, prospect. Hayden McGarry, prospect. Moises Ballesteros, prospect. Pablo Allende, prospect. Kevin Alcantara, prospect. Christian Franklin, prospect. Andy Weber, a guy that could get to the big leagues, was taken in the Rule 5 draft. There's teams that really like Weber. And Cade Horton's the Cubs' top pitching prospect. So, I mean, this is stacked. I remember telling the Pensacola broadcaster going in, I'm like, they had the exact team almost from the year before when they won it. I was like, experience against talent, young talent. And then, we know how it turned out. 2 butt whoopings by the Smokies and a championship. You saw the ring renderings? Now, we haven't released those yet, but
yes.
What'd you think of the rings?
Very cool, very classic. Once again, we don't want to reveal it right now. We're going to have a big reveal about what they look like and everything, and be on the lookout for a potentially fun giveaway in the future.
Nice.
Don't want to say anything farther than that, but they look great, and there is a great tie-in to not only the Chicago Cubs, but something that you like to say as well, Mick. So,
oh, good. Yeah, I love everything.
I think you know what I mean. So
yeah.
We'll have a whole episode just talking about the rings and everything.
When that happens, man, I know we kind of have if it's what I'm thinking as far as the reveal on all of that, you and I have some pretty cool stuff on the whole deal, and it's going to be really special. I mean, the whole thing's special. I wore my Cubs World Series ring to show Father Carl, who hadn't seen it. And what's crazy is I wore it to show him, and I go to Key West. Well, now I don't want to put that in my bag.
Right.
After I saw like that that there were a set of national championship rings that sold for $40,000 at Pawn Stars, I thought, well, it was like some player that no one even heard of. Mm-hmm. I thought, yeah, I'm just going to wear this just in case to cut my finger off to get it, And so I wore it. And then on the way back on Saturday, I stopped at my uncle's house, 75th birthday. And I walk in the door and he's like, hey, can you text me some pictures of the ring? And I said, how about I just hand it to you? And it's like, oh, wow. And
that's pretty cool.
The funniest part about the whole thing is they're like looking at it and they're like, look, his name's on there. His name's on there. And I go, our name's on there. Our name's on there. And it was like that stop. And everyone in the room's Gillespie, and they're looking at each other. And then it was like, wow.
The jaw drops there, Like,
I don't know why they didn't think that. I mean, maybe they did, but they didn't really, it was just kind of like looking at it. But so, and I said, hey, this one, the Smokies one's going to mean a lot just because I've spent so many years broadcasting games.
You need this ring, dude. Oh, Jesus.
I know. I think that the haters in the world were like, I hope he never gets a ring, I mean, we watched it. I think every team in the league won and not us. Mm-hmm. When you go back and look, and we lost to these guys so many times. It was kind of nice to beat them, but yeah, I had a great, man. I just had such a great season last year, and I'm excited about Richie being back as my broadcast partner. He's he really did a fantastic job. He's one of the best young broadcasters out there, and he's a fantastic dude too.
We would have direct messages on Twitter, direct messages on Instagram, because that's where you can catch some of the highlights and the big plays from the games. And people were giving him compliments, in these DMs, just like, wow, he's does a great job of complimenting you and calling the game. He keeps the game interesting. As you know, man, you've been calling baseball for so many years. So there's only so many things you can talk about in such a long period, and it's like having that a nice, fresh new voice with you really helps you out.
Oh, no doubt, man. I mean, a lot of teams broadcasting wise, they in the minor leagues and even in the big leagues. I mean, you talk about like why baseball on the radio isn't as popular as it once was. And I think that there's an art to it that people don't really understand anymore, because they grew up they watch the games on TV, and it's a different call on TV.
Yep. Yep.
And then now you got a lot of guys that are up and coming, and they're just they call the action, but they're just not entertaining. And what we try to do is call the action but be entertaining. And when he showed up, it was like, man, this guy's so easy to talk to, and he's so fun to be around. And and if you're not there, the broadcast is great, and when you're there, it's great, and when you work together, it's fantastic. I just thought it would be great to have that team together for a little while, and see how that goes. And then on top of it, as we move into this new stadium and the video part of it really becomes the major focus,
Yeah.
you really got to have two guys. Like it's just a much better broadcast with two guys. And when you have two guys who know what they're doing and can get out there and cut up and everything, we've always had, top numbers since I've been there anyway. I don't know what it was like before that, but like, as far as like, this, like viewership and all that, but you think about the cameras that you'll have and the facility that we'll have and the interest that we'll have, not to take anything away from how fun this year is going to be,
Right.
but it's like, it's really interesting to kind of build towards next year too.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Going on the couple of different takes that you said, like number one, when I first started working here with the Smokies, one of the things I looked forward to the most was the fact that our broadcasts were 8th ranked in all of minor league baseball, and this one there was 160 teams, not 120.
Yeah.
We were the 8th most watched games on MILB TV, and this is with cameras that were definitely not state of the art. We were behind in the times and all of this. We didn't have overlay graphics or anything like that, and yet we were the 8th most watched team out of 160. That's a lot. And to see how much we've improved in just these few amount of years is really, really, it makes me feel full of pride and everything like that. But now we're going to take it to a whole new level when we move downtown with state of the art, brand new video cameras and the different switching and the graphics and on the overlays and all the other things that go into making a great broadcast. And going on to the first thing that you did talk about there about how announcers here, they just don't get it. It's a lot different from back in the day when you're calling a game on the radio. And as you know, it's like you have to give all of the details about what's going on, but also keep it interesting for the viewer or the listener that's tuning in the 4th inning, in the 7th inning.
Right.
They have no idea what's going on, but they got to figure out what's going on in the baseball game, but also be entertained about what's going on with it. It's not easy when the team's losing 12-0, but you got to have something interesting for those listeners to have and get hooked with. And, when you're watching television and some of these announcers now that are not even at the ballpark or at the football field, they're calling the game from a computer screen in states far away, they can kind of get away with it a little bit because of all of the technology that is there with all the different video cameras and the graphics and all of the glitz that goes into it that the regular viewer isn't going to catch how, wow, this announcer actually kind of stinks,
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. They're different type of broadcasts too, and just like the technical part of it being like when I've done spring training games from, Wrigley Field or, whatever. And it's like, and it's like when you're there, it's like you're focused on different stuff than when you're at the game, like you see things differently, like it definitely, when you're in the studio doing it, is so much more of what you have in front of you and not what you see in front of you. But I try to make them, I always try to make it to where if you tuned in and you'd never listened to our games before, you'd think, oh man, I'd love to be sitting in the booth with these guys having fun, So, that's, It's really, I mean, really, when you think about it, it's still crazy that, we get to work in a ballpark every day. I mean,
For sure.
it's pretty lucky, pretty lucky. And I'm definitely excited about, opening day this year and, having the schedule and we got 3 games at home and then we go on the road. Do you like that? Just kind of have like those 3 games. They go by so fast, right?
I love it, to be honest, because those 3 games that we have at home are Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mhm.
So opening day has that lore around it. People want to come to opening day. They
Yeah.
want to have, we were talking about the program. It's like, how fun is that to have the opening day program? The
Yeah.
first thing, everything's fresh and new. It's a new team. It's exciting. Everything's clean. Everything's new. That's always fun, but it makes it so much better because it's going to be on a Friday where people can come out because kids are going to be in school. People are working. People are off on the weekends. Kids are off on the weekends. People can go out on a Friday night and take in opening day. So I love the 3-game set to begin the series, especially because to begin the season, especially because it's on the weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. So what, do you have anything that you can reveal or next show or coming up? I mean,
Yes.
I love the pennant, obviously. And, like I mean, like, look, man, the Grateful Dead night thing to me is just still like a dream come true, right? When we get to be a part of that. But you do all of them. So what do you got for us today?
Yeah. So next episode, we will be revealing one of our new theme nights coming to the ballpark
Oh, wow.
next season, this season coming up, and it's coming with a giveaway. And this one's specifically for the kids.
Oh,
So
wow.
be on the lookout for that. It's great. Like the renderings are fantastic. It's been ordered. Be on the lookout for it. Next episode, we'll reveal it all.
All right. Well, this has been fun. Make sure that you guys like and follow, comment, give us suggestions, stuff that you want to talk about. And we will be back with you really soon. Maybe, how about next week? Let's do a show next week. Is that a good idea?
That's the truth. Let's do
I'll
it.
wear my Dolly shirt again. I like it.
Well, I like this lavender shirt. So yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll be back next week.